Ladies and gents, welcome back to the LPL Quick Fix, your LPL Recap Show. We've just come off the back of week number 3, our first week back since the Chinese New Year holiday, so we've got a lot to go through in only 5 minutes. As we start the clock up there, we'll get straight on into it with our 7 days of play. Our first day back from the Chinese New Year holiday started with OMG versus LGD in what can only be described as a bit of a fiesta for game number 1. It was scrappy, it was back and forth, and for LGD, a lot of questions about coordination in their team fights, while for OMG taking out that first game, then leading into a second one that looked pretty hand-delivered thanks to XQW.
Oh no, he's gonna go for him, Flash gonna be burnt here. And they're going to try and kill him off. There's nothing you can do.
Great punishing from Arky in the mid lane to get the second kill as well. Really getting that flash timing down to a T, setting up OMG for an easy breezy 2-0 start. And then onto the second game of the day was RA versus NIP that ended in a 2-0 thanks to RA's core members. Cube, Luryen coming up clutch in some of the team fights and the picks, especially in the second game, while Strive was a solid force throughout as well. A lot of questions for Southwind and Assume who've been called out multiple times, but it was enough to get them over the line where for NIP, a lot of questions towards Dream, who's Renekton in the second game just didn't hit the mark.
Torch, and now they're going to get the tower as well. Ooh, that's not the Prowler's Claw you wanted right there. There's a Chain of Corruption going down on top of the Yuumi. So we're going to see now Fota getting a little bit of damage down on top of him. We're going to be stop rushes used galore. It's an almost identical fight that we saw last time where NIP are in the driver's seat, but then they just throw it away over a random engage.
WE versus TT was a nice start again. WE looking so much better in this split. Shout out to Hung, who's been really solid all round. Shanks even ending with a quadra kill, while people like Hope and Iwandi are situating this team quite nicely. You can see that they're working together so much better than they did last year.
Shock blast from TT, and UCals come to town. They find Hung, they find a quadra. Can you get a Fenta? No!
Then, of course, to finish off your Tuesday, you had the all-out slug between Ultra Prime and Anyone's Legend, where AL actually came out of the gates pretty strong, especially with Xiaohao's Elise, but from there, things started to take a turn to the worst, especially with a bit of mid-diff going on between Pins and Ching. Ultra Prime were able to close it out, but honestly, it was a hilarious series to watch.
They get one straight back, Ping Z gets one onto Ning. Might get traded down here, though. Harry flashes forward, has the counter-strike to get them out of there for CDG. Pink Z's down!
Rolling into the Wednesday, I was lucky enough to cast these beautiful teams with IG versus EDG being a 2-0, but again, a dominant one. 11k gold lead by the 31-minute mark as they finish off in game number 1. Gideon's Maokai performance has to be commended yet again, with solidarity from people like Dove, Arn and Wink with a Varus Draven bottom lane, by the way. Our debut of the Varus support, and at the time, the only Varus support in the Premier regions. And onto game 2, we had the Aurelia come out from YSKM. A bit janky with the solo kill, but it was still beautiful mechanic play. And into the team fights, he did the exact same thing. This team is hyped up, and for a good reason. IG's a team you can't miss at the moment, and definitely one of my favorites to cast.
Oh my god! Now all you need is Shock Plus, Arla going in, YSKM still with the full stacks in, and he gets it! You should bloody know him!
Then on to the rest of Wednesday, it was a very slow game between LNG and RNG. In game 1, the draft from RNG raised a lot of eyebrows, a lot of questions, with something that didn't look like it was in this meta at all. Scout slowly scaled and played the game so patiently, pulling up a CS lead way above the clock. In game 2, you could say the same thing when he pulled out the Yone, but mainly because the rest of the team were also so damn fed. It closed it out, and RNG still aren't showing us too much to be proud of, but LNG with a really solid performance.
The Dragon at 5k, Zika's twirling, but he doesn't find it as Tarzan is hit pretty hard. Now, running in, a flash away from Bunny. They run in again. Fate shield, Angel going golden. Gala running away. The Dragon is gone. It's taken a soul. LNG.
On to Thursday, where JDG vs NIP ended in a 2-0 in under 1 hour. It was a 16k gold lead in game number 1 in 24 minutes and 28 minutes for the second one, with 12,000 the lead for JDG. An absolute stomp and an infamous play coming out of Ruler on his Zeri that just made him look like a clutch beast.
Well, into anything much more.
That's cleanse out. The flash comes on through as well as Ruler is actually going to die for this one. Michelle up out there to body block. It doesn't matter. The damage is insane. This is a 2v4. Ruler is on another level as he burns through that bus. Strong going down. Jumps over the wall for the triple. And here's Ganavi to finish the play. Ruler is insane.
And speaking of beasts on the other side, Top Esports vs RA was also a 2-0 in the same game. Very dominant wins once again. And game 2, the Darius up against the Camille of Cube. This one stung a bit with a 1v3 that also landed in the history books.
Goes in onto Cube. Hextech Ultimatum will keep him in the play. Is the healing there? The ultimate guillotine comes into play.
TS3!
3v1.
Your Friday opened up in a bit of a goofy way, which I feel like I'm going to say every time AL are in the question. This 3-game series against LGD looked directionless and at times was a bit comical, but a lot of A-ramming, a lot of random fighting. In the end, still entertaining if you're an LPL Blood fan.
Go for it, that's a 2-man. They get the Caitlyn, and now Betty can start to really unleash onto this, but they're just so far behind. It has to be Betty. He has to be the savior for this team. He has to make it work. They're flashing on him. They know they have to kill him, and they will. It's 2 kills, and that's going to be the game, and almost certainly the series.
Then we're on to Ultra Prime versus FPX, where FPX had been struggling coming off the start of the split, but they brought in Hacker. Now, that didn't get me too impressed, and I don't think it got many of the viewers very impressed either, but he played exceptionally, and especially against Ultra Prime's Ning, there were times where Hacker was jungle diffing the hell out of him. This was a fun series to watch the development of FPX and see what Hacker brought to the table, especially with strong members like Xiaolao, who's still performing quite well, and Care, I think, having a solid foundation for the rest of FPX. LWX getting caught out a couple of times within the series, but still, a much-needed win with their first series win for FPX this split.
Anything else? Airy flashes, but it's a flash answered by Elder without seeing exactly where this Camille was coming from. Now Xiaolao trying to be absolutely monstrous. That wall of meat, he's like a butcher.
Starting off the weekend, you had OMG returning back to the field, and for game 1, you even had Shanji on his Udyr top. This one ended in a bang away with a cute little backdoor that got OMG the base straight away. Game number 2, Shanji returns to Rumble, and although this one was close, OMG managed to close it out in the end.
His team is still alive too. Cream's going in. Cream's on the back line. Equalizer too.
No
and
one's
here
touching
comes
Abel.
OMG. They're back though. The keeper's verdict is not there, but the steadfast presence is.
Abel.
Abel's splashing forward, and OMG, they're wiping the board with Team WE, but can they? Shanji's still alive, and everybody falls.
Now to sadder news, especially for myself, IG have finally been dethroned, with TT breaking them down, giving them their first loss, and giving them one hell of a series. In what can only be dictated as one of the longest series of the split, especially with that game 3 going to 50 minutes, IG have lost it out, and TT have finally come together in what I can only say is their best performance yet.
Who lands poke? Arrow goes wide. Bruce are in. Arms in the middle of nowhere. The bomb lands. The builds are there. The curtain call might be the curtain call for IG. As in the meantime, Dove taken down in the backside of the fight. Gideon on the front line. IG taken apart. Womfung with a flash satchel charge. Takes a bit of damage, but he's happy to sacrifice a bit of health for the play that might win the game. TT find 3.
Then finally on Saturday, our match of the week between BLG and Weibo Gaming ended up being a BLG win somehow, some way. It definitely came off the back of the game 1 win where Xun on his Kindred pummeled the top lane and the rest of Weibo Gaming. 13,000 gold lead at 29 minutes. He snowballed the hell out of that game, with Bin also returning to the Aurelia. Scary stuff in the top lane, but you can even say the same thing with the Shy getting yet another solo kill within this series. It wasn't enough, however, with BLG returning strong with the Nidalee coming out of Xun and those unique identity junglers that make BLG a force to be reckoned with.
There, Crisp is down. Xiaohu is next as he turns golden to buy time. Health bars are low, maybe light, and the Shy could do something miraculous. They're looking for more. Shock blast in. Bin turns golden. Light throwing these bombs out as fast as he can, but Bin walks away. Another bouncing bomb would do it. Shun and Bin both on 1 HP. Elk alone to try and end this game right here. The heal's coming on through, trying to clear the minions, but he doesn't have the damage. Elk onto the Nexus. I think they've done it. BLG. No, Elk with the 1v1.
Then finally, for our last day of week number 3, we had Top Esports versus NIP, which was a bit of a scrap, but it was a quick scrap in a 3-game series. 25, 25, 29-minute games each, with Jackie Love debuting the Twitch 80 carry coming through in game number 3. It was a crazy one, but still, for NIP showing a little bit of sign of life, However, they couldn't overcome the individual skill that is top esports. With our second series of the day being LNG RA, we had expectations that RA would be able to follow through with what they did earlier in the week to NIP, but LNG were a different story, so well put together, and RA only finding slimmers of picks to punish. In the end of the day, LNG looked like the well-off team, and Scout, again, just continues to be the centerpiece alongside Tarzan for this new LNG roster.
Available.
Oh,
they can
Cube.
pick on Han, or maybe they can pick on Cube.
Cube!
Okay.
Cube! Oh, Cube! He's just like, man, I'm fine, I'm Cassante, but you cannot, in this game.
And then finally on Sunday, we had the El Clasico, the EDG versus RNG matchup that all the Chinese fans love. It wasn't our match of the week because it just didn't hit the same expectations as BLG versus Weibo, and we were dead on. EDG versus RNG was a stomp. Edward Gaming never looked out of control, and RNG just looked absolutely hopeless. It's sad to say, but RNG just didn't show up, and in 30 minutes in both games, Edward Gaming dismantled them, showing us that they just have a better pulse on the game right now. And that RNG look a bit directionless, even with Ming's return.
Shock Laser's Bobo's angle is beautiful. Now cleaning house just as a matter of doing the chores. Wade tries to get something, but look at RNG scatter to the wind. As Jez engages been beautiful as well. Arla flashed over for this monkey. And now the zoo has been constructed with EDG caging the rest of RNG. It may not be humane, but that's
And that's your LPL Week 3 Quick Fix here. My name's Hysterics, and thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, support the content, and I'll see you next week to make sure you're staying in the know for the LPL.